my name's Jamie. I'm from APDO and I brought Poppy here at the Discovery Center. We're here to let you guys all know that APDO is open. We are following the strict guidelines that the CDC has put into place. We are doing same-day treatment just like we always have, and parents are welcome back.
Hi guys, this is Trinity with the Don Harrington Discovery Center, and today we are doing our Robot Ruckus Coffee and Cuties. So today we're going to be talking about what a robot is and give you some ideas of how to make one yourself. Before we do that though, to get us in the mood for being creative and building things, I want to read you guys a book, and it is called The Most Magnificent Thing by Ashley Spires. And this book kind of details the story of this little girl, isn't she cute? And she wants to build something, but she's not quite sure how to go about it. And so we're going to see how her story turns out. So, The Most Magnificent Thing by Ashley Spires. This is a regular girl and her best friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race, they eat, they explore, they relax. She makes things. He unmakes things. One day, the girl has a wonderful idea. She is going to make the most magnificent thing. She knows just how it will look. She knows just how it will work. All she has to do is make it, and she makes things all the time. Easy peasy. First, she hires an assistant. Next, they gather their supplies. They set up somewhere out of the way and get to work. The girl tinkers and hammers and measures, while her assistant pounces and growls and chews. When she's finished, she steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side. Her assistant examines the other side. It doesn't look right. Her assistant picks it up and gives it a shake. It doesn't feel right either. They're shocked to discover that the thing isn't magnificent or good. It isn't even kind of sort of okay. It is all wrong. The girl tosses it aside and gives it another go. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles. Her assistant circles and tugs and wags. When she's finished, she stands up and takes a long look at it. Her assistant gives it a nudge with his paw. The thing is still wrong. She decides to try again. The girl saws and glues and adjusts. She stands and examines and stares. She twists and tweaks and fastens. She fixes and straightens and studies. She tries all different ways to make it better. She makes it square. She makes it round. She gives it legs. She adds antenna. She makes it fuzzy. She makes it long, short, rough, smooth, big, small. One even smells of stinky cheese. But none of them are magnificent. Her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they don't understand. They can't see the magnificent thing that she has in her mind. She gets mad. The angrier she gets, the faster she works. She smashes pieces into shapes. She jams parts together. She pummels the little bits in. Her hands feel too big to work, and her brain is too full of all the not right things. If only the thing would just work. Crunch. The pain starts in her finger. It rushes up to her brain, and she explodes. It is not her finest moment. I'm no good at this. I quit. Her assistant suggests a walk. It is not much help at first, but before long, she starts to feel different. Bit by bit, the mad gets pushed out of her head. As they stroll along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made. The bad feelings are about to start all over again. Then she notices something surprising. There are some parts of the wrong things that are really quite right. The bolts on one, the shape of another, the wheel to seat ratio of the next. There are all sorts of parts that she likes. By the time she reaches the end of the trail, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent. She gets to work. She works carefully and slowly, tinkering, hammering, twisting, fiddling, gluing, painting. Her assistant makes sure that there are no distractions. This one's all wet. This one will stop that leak. This is the perfect thing to ward off bears. The afternoon fades into evening, and finally she finishes. She alerts her assistant. The pair take a good, long look. It leans a little to the left, and it's a bit heavier than expected. The color could use a bit of work too, but it's just what she wanted. They climb aboard and take it for a spin. They are not disappointed. It really is the most magnificent thing. The end. So, in this book, the girl who wanted to make this magnificent thing encountered a lot of obstacles. So I want to encourage you guys as we go forward and look at some really cool robots that you guys can try to make at home, give you some ideas. Don't get disappointed whenever your magnificent thing doesn't turn out quite the way that you want to. You got to keep hammering and tinkering and making it what you want, and don't get discouraged. It'll turn out the way it should eventually. You just have to keep working at it. So, to give you guys some ideas on what a robot can be, I'm going to show you some examples with our cubelets right here. So a robot, technically, is a machine that can be programmed with a chip or a sensor. So it can kind of think for itself and make decisions almost. Now, these guys right here are cubelets. Each of these cubes has a different function. They do a different thing. And in order for these cubes to work, they have to have a power block, which is this guy right here. So you turn this guy on, and he's the power source. So this is where we charge these guys up, and these are the ones that give it power. Now, they also have these other blocks, such as wheels right here. And these guys, once they're attached to a power block, will start to turn. But, as you can see, they're not really doing anything right now. That's because they don't have a sensor. A sensor is what's going to make these guys robots. So we have a bunch of different sensors here. So the first one that I have, I'm going to move these guys out of the way. First one that we have is this guy right here. So I turn my power on. Doesn't really do much. I've got a little sensor or a little block right here that's going to spin around, and then I have a couple of light blocks, but it's not doing anything until I put my hand right here. So this black cube on the top is a sensor, and it basically tells my blocks what to do. So this is the robot part of our cublet robot. So as soon as I move my hand away, it stops. That's how a sensor works. A sensor senses things, kind of like Spider-Man has a spider sense. So this guy can sense movement. So if I move my hand over, move it away, it will start and stop depending on what our sensor is sensing. So I can move this guy aside, and we can do a different one. This guy right here is a different kind of robot, and actually I'm gonna do this one first. This guy right here is a different kind of robot, and as you can see, it's already moving around. Its wheels are moving, and the light is on. So, but I'm not touching it really in any way. I can just let it sit there and it does its thing. This guy actually has a different kind of sensor. This sensor right here is a light sensor. So if it senses light, it turns everything on. But if I cover it, then it's lost its light, it's lost its sense, and now it turns off. So if I put it this way, and then cover the light, it will stop it. Stop it, start it, stop it, start it. The cool thing about this guy is that it actually has a knob. So by turning the knob up, I can make my light brighter or dimmer and make my wheels go faster or slower. So if I turn it up, it goes a lot faster towards the edge. Or if I turn it way down, it goes a whole lot slower towards the edge. So I can turn this guy off. And now this guy is one of my favorites because this one has a really special part to it. So this guy right here is a reverse block. So we have the same sensor that we had before, and I can turn this guy on, and you can see that it turns on our light right there. But if I take it off, and I put this reverse cube on, and then put this back on the top, it reverses what happens. So this cube needs light in order to turn on. But if I do it this way, it reverses what happens. So each part of these cubelets works in a different way to create a robot. Now, in a way that you guys can see a little better, I brought a couple of extra things. So inside of our robots, inside of these cubes, and inside of our next activity are motors. This right here is a motor. Now, in order for a motor to work, it has to be attached to a power supply, just like anything else, just like your TV or even mom and dad's cell phone. It has to charge for a while, right, in order to work. So we can take these guys, connect them to a battery, and it gives it a power source. Now, a motor is not a really easy thing for you guys to see, so I brought a couple of other things for you to look at. So this right here is a sound sensor, so once I turn it on, we should be able to hear sound. It almost sounds a little bit like a fire alarm. Now, do you guys notice that whenever I'm touching these guys, just touching one end is not enough? I have to touch both ends in order for it to make a sound. Now, why do you think that this is happening? It stands to reason. It's still attached to power, right? But this is an example of an open and closed circuit. Most things have to have a completely closed circuit in order to work. So if I close the circuit, now you're looking at a complete circle all the way around. Everything is touching and everything is receiving power. When I take it away from that, I'm losing that extra power. I don't have the power flowing through the entire thing anymore. Kind of like that. And I can do this different ways. I can add switches so that I can turn power on and off, just like your light switches. I can even do it with a little light bulb right here. And it's very small, so you can't see it very well, but it actually turns on our light bulb. So by attaching wires to power sources and making sure that it's going in the right way and making sure that we have closed circuits, we can actually make some really cool things. Now, the last thing that I want to show you guys is something that's a little easier for you guys to do at home, and they are something called Scribble Bots. So this is a really cool art project. This right here is the motor inside of our Scribble Bot. So just like we looked at earlier in our cubelets and in our little area here, this guy kind of looks like a marker, but inside of it, it's powered by a battery, just like we looked at earlier. And when I close it, just like this, it will turn on and it starts to spin that motor around really, really fast, and it vibrates. And so what we can do is we can take this and we put it inside of a pool noodle, just like this, and then we attach markers to it, like this. And this is something that's pretty easy to do because you can get mom or dad to help you. Go online and see if you can find a Scribble Bot motor. They're pretty easy to find. And then you can make this at home, and this is a really easy kind of bot that you can make. So let's get these guys set up. We've got to take all the caps off, like this. Here we go. Okay. Science is messy, it's fine. Okay, so we're gonna pull these guys out just like this. Turn it on, okay. So now we can turn it on, and it starts to move around and take my paper with it. Ooh, and onto the table, and everywhere else. So these guys are vibrating around. They're making some pretty awesome looking art. I can switch it around so I can get different colors. Just like this. And if you guys can see, I don't know how well you can see it. Let's turn these guys off for a second. If you look really close at my pictures, you can see where it's jumping up and down really, really fast, and it's leaving little dots, and it's kind of moving in wiggly lines. And so you guys can make this at home to make your own really cool Scribble Bot art by using the things that we talked about, by using circuits and wires and batteries and all that kind of cool stuff. You can make your very own robot at home. So I hope that this has inspired you guys to figure out ways to make your own robots by finding things at home, or even by drawing robots and just exploring that whole area of science. Really, really cool stuff. And also to look for robots in your everyday life. So maybe mom and dad have a Roomba, that's a robot. Or maybe you've gone to Walmart recently and seen the big white robot that walks around and cleans the aisles. That's also a robot. So I encourage you guys to try to make your own robots, look for robots in the world around you, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us for this month's Coffee and Cuties, and thank you to APDO for sponsoring this month's Coffee and Cuties. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.